relationship here with TNA from what we've been seeing, and also what we can expect from
WrestleMania season is here, but instead of the usual excitement and anticipation, WWE fans find themselves questioning whether the hype is warranted. Is this truly the grandest stage of them all? Or has it been reduced to a mere afterthought? Is it even Mania season at all? To many, it certainly doesn't feel that way. Instead of the usual buzz that accompanies the road to WrestleMania, this year feels more like a dragged-out, uninspired filler leading up to a predictable and underwhelming finale. The culprit behind this lackluster build? Triple H, the man who has taken the helm of WWE's creative direction, is currently in the midst of a booking run that has become a glaring example of how not to run a wrestling promotion. Triple H's recent booking, a pattern of poor decisions. In recent months, Triple H's creative decisions have left many fans shaking their heads. For someone who was once hailed as a visionary, his decisions as head of creative have been perplexing and in many cases, outright baffling. Under his leadership, WWE has witnessed a series of missteps that have led to a general sense of dissatisfaction among fans. From incoherent storylines to repetitive matchups, it's as if the art of professional wrestling storytelling has been forgotten. One of the most frustrating aspects of Triple H's booking is his reliance on long-term storytelling as an excuse for poor television. Fans have been told time and time again that the slow builds are all part of a grand master plan. But when all that results from these slow builds are tedious, recycled segments, fans begin to feel that they've been sold a lie. Triple H seems to have convinced a large portion of the WWE universe that enduring endless weeks of dull programming is worth it, that it's all in service of something bigger. However, the payoff rarely lives up to the hype, and fans are left wondering if they're being fed subpar content in the hopes that they'll believe it's part of a greater story. The long-term game, a concept that's lost its meaning. At last year's WrestleMania, fans were promised a year-long journey of storytelling that would culminate in the biggest spectacle of them all. Triple H boldly stated that WWE was committed to long-term booking, making it clear that the fans should trust the process. However, as the months went on, it became increasingly clear that Triple H's version of long-term storytelling was just a smokescreen for a series of unoriginal, repetitive, and poorly executed storylines. The so-called long game turned out to be a lot of hot air. Take, for example, the case of The Rock. At one point, it was rumored that The Rock would face off against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, a bout that would see the family legacy come to a head. However, as the year progressed, fans learned that The Rock would not be competing at the show, and his involvement in the story was reduced to a non-existent afterthought. This is the kind of decision that made it clear that the long-term game Triple H promised was nothing more than a marketing gimmick. Instead of delivering on the promises made to fans, WWE left them feeling disappointed and misled. Repetitive and stale programming. WWE's weekly struggles. The problems with Triple H's booking don't end with failed long-term plans. They extend to the weekly television shows, which have become an exercise in redundancy. WWE's programming has become predictable to the point of being monotonous. If you've watched one episode of WWE television, you've seen it all. Repetitive matchups, formulaic segments, and a lack of meaningful storytelling. For instance, fans are subjected to the same handful of matches week after week, with very little in terms of character development or narrative progression. The feud between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins is a prime example of this. While both men are incredibly talented and capable of delivering exciting matches, their storyline has been dragged out to the point of exhaustion. Instead of fresh angles and exciting twists, fans are treated to the same tired dialogue and uninspired feuds. For months, Cody has been pitted against opponents he's already defeated, and there's little to no development in his character. It's almost as if WWE expects fans to care simply because he's a top star, rather than giving them a reason to emotionally invest in his journey. Other examples of this same formula can be seen in the endless parade of tag team matches and brawls. The likes of Ludwig Kaiser, Pete Dunne, and DIY are caught in a revolving door of underwhelming matchups that do little to elevate the talent involved. Instead of providing new challenges or compelling rivalries, the same faces are recycled into the same matchups, leaving fans bored and frustrated. These matches serve no purpose other than to kill time before the next pay-per-view. And that's a disservice to both the talent and the audience. Forced heel turns. A desperate attempt to create drama. Another troubling trend under Triple H's leadership is the overuse of forced heel turns. While wrestling has always been defined by the ebb and flow of characters, turning from villain to hero, Triple H has taken this to a whole new level. Recent heel turns have felt forced, lacking the emotional depth or storytelling necessary to make them meaningful. John Cena's much-anticipated heel turn at the Royal Rumble is a prime example of this. Fans were led to believe that this would be a momentous shift in Cena's character, but instead it came off as a desperate attempt to inject some drama into an otherwise stale storyline. What was the point of Cena turning heel? It didn't feel organic, nor did it contribute anything of value to the narrative. Cena has been a fan favorite for years, and the turn simply didn't make sense in the context of his character's history. Fans were told to accept it as a shocking moment, but there was no real follow-up. Cena disappeared from television shortly after, offering very little explanation or justification for his actions. This is a textbook example of Triple H's failure to create lasting, impactful storylines that resonate with the audience. CM Punk. Lost potential and missed opportunities. Perhaps one of the most glaring examples of wasted potential under Triple H's watch is CM Punk's return to WWE. After his long absence, Punk was expected to make a huge impact upon his return. Many hoped that he would be placed in high-profile matches and meaningful storylines that could elevate both him and the company. Instead, Punk's run has been marked by a series of missed opportunities and lackluster feuds. Despite his star power, Punk has found himself stuck in a series of meaningless matches, including a poorly executed triple threat match that will likely lead to nothing of consequence. The issue with Punk's current booking isn't his ability to deliver in the ring or on the microphone, but rather the lack of thought put into his character's development. His return should have been a centerpiece of the company's storytelling, but instead it's been relegated to a footnote. Instead of putting him in a program that could create lasting impact, WWE seems content with letting Punk drift aimlessly from one half-baked feud to the next. Fans who were excited about his return now find themselves wondering what could have been had WWE taken a more thoughtful and patient approach to his return. The payoff. Empty moments with no follow-through. One of the biggest complaints about Triple H's booking is the lack of meaningful payoffs. While the build-up to certain matches or storylines might offer fleeting moments of intrigue, they are almost always followed by disappointing resolutions. Take, for example, the culmination of Cody Rhodes' storyline with Roman Reigns. Cody's rise to the top seemed to promise a long-awaited championship victory at WrestleMania, but instead fans were given a rushed, underwhelming conclusion that failed to live up to the hype. After months of waiting, the payoff didn't feel satisfying. Similarly, Cena's heel turn, which was intended to inject new life into his character, has gone nowhere. Despite the build-up, the moment failed to deliver any lasting impact, leaving fans to wonder what the purpose of it all was. The same can be said for Punk's return, which has failed to deliver any meaningful storylines or feuds. All these moments felt like empty gestures, with little to no follow-up. In the end, fans are left feeling unsatisfied, with nothing to show for all the time they invested in following these stories. The decline of WWE's product. The question now is, why are fans still buying into this broken system? The truth is that WWE has become masterful at convincing its audience that things are better than they actually are. The company promotes itself as being in a golden era, claiming that its product is at its best in years. Yet when you compare the current state of WWE to the days when superstars like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Triple H himself were dominating the scene, it's clear that the product has lost its edge. WWE's roster may be filled with talented performers, but how many of them are truly Hall of Fame worthy? Gunther, who is on a historic reign, might one day find himself inducted, but does he have the same impact as past legends? Is Cody Rhodes truly a Hall of Famer? What about other stars like LA Knight or Braun Breaker? Do they have the longevity or star power to cement their places in WWE history? These are questions that need to be asked when considering the current state of WWE, and the answers are often unsatisfying.